There's a psychological phenomenon called borrowed guilt syndrome. And if you grew up with a nice mom who made you feel like you owed her your entire existence, you probably have it. And here's the thing. 89% of people who experience this have absolutely no idea. It even has a name. They just walk around feeling like they're broken, selfish, or ungrateful, when really their brain has been programmed to carry guilt that was never theirs to begin with. And today I'm going to show you exactly how this happens and why your perfect childhood might actually be the reason you can't set boundaries, feel constantly anxious, or apologize for having needs. But before I explain what borrowed guilt syndrome actually does to your brain, let me ask you something. How many of these sound familiar? You feel guilty saying no even when you're exhausted. You apologize constantly even when you've done nothing wrong. Your mom's emotions feel like your responsibility. You feel empty inside but can't explain why setting boundaries makes you feel like a terrible person. If more than 2 of these apply to you, keep watching. Because what I'm about to reveal is going to completely reframe your entire childhood. And I need you to stay with me here, because this is going to feel uncomfortable at first. Okay, so here's what borrowed guilt syndrome actually is. It's when a mother, usually a nice, loving, self-sacrificing mother, unconsciously transfers her unprocessed emotions, unmet needs, and childhood wounds onto you, her child. And because she's not obviously abusive, because she fed you, hugged you, showed up to your soccer games, you can't name what feels wrong. You just know that somehow you've spent your entire life trying to make her happy. You've spent your entire life managing her emotions. You've spent your entire life feeling like you're the problem. Let me guess your story. Your mom was always there for you. She sacrificed everything. She gave up her dreams, her career, her body for you. And she reminded you of this, maybe not directly. Maybe just through her sighs, her martyrdom, her "I'm fine" when she clearly wasn't. And now, you're an adult who feels guilty for being happy, for having needs, for existing. Sound familiar? That's not a coincidence. That's borrowed guilt syndrome in action. And here's what nobody tells you about this. Research from the University of Iowa's 20-year longitudinal study found that emotional neglect, yes, even in good homes, can be more damaging long-term than physical or sexual abuse. Let that sink in. More damaging. Because at least with obvious abuse, you can name it. You can say, that was wrong. But with a nice mom who emotionally enmeshes with you, you can't even see the damage because it's wrapped in love. Here's what's happening in your brain. When you're a child, your brain is literally wiring itself based on your environment. And if your mom used you as her emotional support system, if she treated you like her therapist, her best friend, her reason for living, your brain learned something devastating. My worth. Making others happy. Neuroscientists call this role reversal attachment trauma. Your brain's attachment system, the part that's supposed to learn, I'm safe, I'm loved, I can rely on my parent, instead learns, I'm only valuable if I'm taking care of someone else. And get this, 83% of children who experience this kind of covert emotional parentification develop anxious or avoidant attachment styles as adults. That's from a 2020 study published in the Journal of Child Psychology. Dr. Jonice Webb, who literally wrote the book on childhood emotional neglect, says this: emotional neglect is the white space in the family picture. It's what wasn't there. And because it's invisible, it does its damage silently. So while your mom was telling you she loved you, while she was packing your lunch and driving you to practice, she was also using you to fill her emotional void. And your child brain couldn't say no, because saying no to her needs felt like betrayal. That's borrowed guilt syndrome, and it's been running your life ever since. But here's where it gets really interesting. Let me show you exactly what this looks like in real life, and I want you to pay attention, because I'm going to explain both sides of this dynamic, not to excuse your mom, but to help you understand why she did this, so you can finally stop blaming yourself. Scenario 1, the martyr mom. What you heard growing up. I gave up everything for you. My career, my body, my dreams. You're the reason I stayed in this marriage. I sacrificed it all for you. What you felt. Crushing guilt. Like your existence was a burden. Like you owe her your happiness because she gave up hers. Now, here's what was actually happening from her psychology. Your mom likely had unmet childhood needs herself. Maybe her mother was cold, unavailable, critical, so she overcompensated. She became the perfect, self-sacrificing mother she never had. But here's the problem. She didn't do it for you. She did it to heal her own wounds. And when you didn't fill that void, when you didn't make her feel worthy through your achievements, your gratitude, your constant validation, she felt like her sacrifice was wasted. That's not love. That's emotional debt. And you've been paying interest your whole life. Scenario 2, the "you're my best friend"? Mom, what you heard. You're the only one who really understands me. I don't know what I'd do without you. You're my everything. What you felt? Special at first, then suffocated, like you couldn't have your own life without betraying her. This is called emotional incest. And before you freak out, no, I'm not saying anything sexual happened. I'm saying your mom treated you like her partner instead of her child. She shared adult problems with you. She made you her emotional support. She leaned on you when she should have been leaning on a therapist, a friend, a partner. And research shows that 12 to 15% of adults in clinical populations report experiencing this. From her psychology. She was likely lonely, emotionally neglected in her marriage, or terrified of abandonment. So she turned you into her emotional spouse. And your child brain learned, if I pull away, she'll fall apart. If I have my own life, I'm selfish. That's borrowed guilt syndrome, building its prison. Scenario 3, the anxious protector. What you heard. The world is dangerous. People will hurt you. Stay close to me. I'm just trying to protect you. What you felt. Anxiety. Constantly. Like the world was a threat and you couldn't handle it without her. From her psychology, she likely had unprocessed trauma or generalized anxiety disorder. And instead of getting help for herself, she projected her fear onto you. She didn't mean to make you anxious. She genuinely believed she was protecting you. But what actually happened? She taught your nervous system to be on high alert all the time. A 2021 study in JAMA Pediatrics found that maternal anxiety and depression predict significantly poorer child development, especially emotional regulation. Your mom's untreated anxiety became your anxiety. That's how intergenerational trauma works. And it's not your fault. And honestly, it's not entirely her fault either. She was passing down what was passed to her. But here's what you need to understand. Just because it wasn't intentional doesn't mean it wasn't harmful. You can love your mom and recognize she hurt you. Both things can be true. Scenario 4, the gaslighting. Nice. Mom, what you heard. You're too sensitive. That never happened. You're remembering it wrong. I would never do that. How can you say that after everything I've done for you? What you felt. Crazy. Like you couldn't trust your own memory or feelings. This is covert gaslighting, and it's one of the most damaging forms because it comes from someone who loves you. And from her psychology, she likely couldn't handle feeling like a bad mother. So when you brought up something that hurt you, her defense mechanisms kicked in. Not because she's evil, because acknowledging she hurt you would shatter her identity as the good mom. So she rewrote history. She denied your reality. She made you the problem. And now, you don't trust yourself. You second-guess every feeling, every memory, every boundary. That's borrowed guilt syndrome at its most insidious. Now, here's where this gets really important. If you're sitting here feeling like your entire childhood just got reframed, good. That means you're finally seeing the invisible wound. And here's what you need to do now. Step 1, name it to tame it. You just learned about borrowed guilt syndrome. That's step 1. The moment you can name what happened to you, your brain starts to separate your identity from the programming. You're not broken, you're not selfish, you're not ungrateful. You're someone who was taught to carry guilt that wasn't yours. And now you get to put it down. Step 2, grieve what you didn't get. This is the hard part nobody talks about. You have to grieve the mother you needed but didn't have. Even if your mom was good. Even if she loved you, you can love her and grieve what was missing. You needed a mother who had her own emotional support. You needed a mother who didn't make you responsible for her happiness. You needed a mother who let you be a child. It's okay to grieve that. It doesn't make you ungrateful. It makes you human. Step 3, set boundaries without guilt. Here's the harsh truth you don't want to hear but need to. Your mother's emotional state is not your responsibility. Read that again. I know it feels like your job. I know saying no feels like abandonment. But that feeling? That's the borrowed guilt talking. You're allowed to say no without explaining yourself, live your own life without her approval, feel happy even when she's not, prioritize your mental health over her comfort. And if she reacts badly, that's her work to do, not yours. Step 4, reparent yourself. Your inner child is still waiting for someone to say, you're enough exactly as you are. Your needs matter. You're not responsible for my happiness. Your mom couldn't say that. Maybe she didn't know how. Maybe she was too wounded herself. But you can say it now. To yourself. Every time the guilt comes up, ask yourself, is this my guilt or is this borrowed guilt? And if it's borrowed, put it down. It was never yours to carry. Step 5, get professional help. Real talk. If this video is hitting hard, you probably need therapy. Not because you're broken, because you're healing. Find a therapist who specializes in attachment trauma, family systems, childhood emotional neglect. You can't do this alone, and you shouldn't have to. Look, I know this was heavy, but you needed to hear it. Because somewhere along the way, you learned that your pain doesn't matter as much as keeping the peace. And I'm here to tell you, your pain does matter. Your story matters. And recognizing what happened to you isn't about blame. It's about breaking the cycle. If this resonated with you, hit that subscribe button because next week I'm revealing another psychology secret that nobody talks about. It's called phantom approval addiction, and it explains why you're still seeking validation from people who will never give it to you. Trust me, you're going to want to hear this one. And hey, if you made it this far, comment borrowed guilt below. So I know this helped you. You're not alone in this, and you're not crazy for feeling what you feel. You're just finally seeing the truth. And that's the first step to freedom. I'll see you next video.